Hello, Paul Hamilton here from UTB. We've got a Commonwealth Games AR special tutorial just for you. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create the high jump Commonwealth Games world record height so that students can visualize how high that actually is. Now, I've just layered this in my front yard. I'm getting my roof done at the moment, and it's almost at the height of the scaffolding. It's almost double the car in size. So getting kids to visualize through augmented reality how tall and how to scale things are is super important. So this is going to be a great little tutorial for grade 5s and 6s, and we're going to create not the person necessarily, but just that height of the high jump. So the first thing we need to do is let's jump into Safari and let's do a quick search on Commonwealth Games world records. Now, I've gone quickly to the Wikipedia and I'm focusing today on the high jump, but you could do any sort of augmented reality world record that you want. So it looks like it's 1990 Auckland. We've got 2 meters 36 for the record. So let's jump into Reality Composer and let's start creating. So first thing we're going to do, this is our gallery page, obviously with all of our projects there. That's where the locations, and we're going to create a brand new file at the top with the plus. Now for this project, it's definitely going to be a horizontal anchor because we're going to place the high jump on the ground. So we'll go with a horizontal anchor to get started today. Now when you open up, if this is your first time with Reality Composer, you may not see what you're seeing now. You might have like a cube there, something like that. So it really easily, you can delete that by just tapping on it once and tap again if it doesn't come up, and you'll see a delete sign. Not duplicate. That's right, delete. And what we need to do is just get comfortable moving around our area. We've got our best friend up here to the left, which is our undo button. So we can undo. And if you hold that down for a second or two, you'll get a redo button. So if you make lots of mistakes today, that's okay. Look for your best friend. And so we've got our properties at the top here. We'll be using that. We won't be using behaviors today, but we'll just mainly be using these properties as we go along. So get comfortable moving around. 2-finger twist, 2 fingers to zoom, and then 1 finger to look at it from different perspectives. You're going to need to move around your scene comfortably today to be able to build our high jump Commonwealth Games world record. So you can see that each of these are about 1 meter by 1 meter to scale, and we're going to be focusing on that math scale today, which is important. Let's go up to our plus and let's add a basic cube. Now that's not looking like our high jump at the moment. So what we need to do is zoom in a little bit and let's see how we can move this around. First of all, we drag the cones or the arrows up and down to move it. Try not to tap and actually drag the object itself. Try and use the actual cones, and then you can also drag those little circles around the side to actually rotate, which we won't be doing too much today. In our properties now, once your cube is selected, I want you to go down and change it to a different material. I'm going to use black because it kind of stands out a little bit. Now underneath, you'll see some different measurements. See there, I'm playing with the height. When I play with the height, it might go underneath the ground, but that's okay. I can play with the width and the depth. And I can also type in the actual measurements. Now, this is going to be important. I'm going to make each of my stands on the side about 5 centimeters. Well, that didn't work. Let's try that again. About 5 centimeters in width. And I'm also in the depth, I'm going to make it 5 as well to make them quite skinny poles. And the height, if you can remember from my research, let me drag that up so it's sitting on the ground. We don't want to go underneath the ground. The height, you'll remember, it's 236 or 2 meters 36 centimeters. So that's 236 centimeters. So I just put 236 in there. And voila, we're done. Now it goes underneath. So I want you to zoom out and drag the green arrow up so that the bottom is sitting on the actual ground. Now, if you get a bit lost today, if you get a bit lost and it kind of goes a little bit hectic, I'll show you in a minute. Now I'm going to drag that pole around a little bit. Remember, my meter by 1 meter scale. Now we need to double check that it's on the ground. It should snap to the ground down the bottom and be 0. Don't want to go underneath it with the negative. We want to kind of go on 0 there. That's perfect. Now, if we zoom in and we get lost, come up to the top, up here, next to the magnet, and go to Frame Scene. If it gets a bit glitchy, that will reorientate yourself in the scene itself. Now I've got my first pole, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to tap on my pole. I've got my height, got everything done here, got my width, that's all looking pretty good. All I'm going to do is tap it once and duplicate. That way I've got my height done and I can just drag it with the red cone to the side. So I've done my 2 poles there really, really quickly. All I need to do now is my bar. Okay, so we might use a different shape. You can move these around. You need to try to align them because we're going to put the bar at the top. But that's looking pretty good. They're about 1 meter apart from each other. That's kind of to scale. And what we're going to do is go to plus, and we might use this shape here. This kind of little capsule. And I'm going to lift it, and then I'm going to drag the blue circle to rotate it. See what I've done there? I've kind of rotated it so that it's kind of horizontal. Then I can play around with a different, let's make it gold because it's kind of the gold medal jump if you're going to break the Commonwealth World Record. So I'm going to make that a little bit longer in height. I'm going to make the diameter really skinny so that it's like a skin bar at the top. And this is where you might have to position it. You might have to play around with the height a little bit because you want to try to get it matching at the top. And a little tip from me, make sure that you zoom in to really see what you're doing. So if I zoom in now, you can see that it's kind of not sitting on top of my 2 bars or poles. So I'm going to lift that up a little bit and make sure it just sits on top. That's perfect. You'll get those little yellow. I think I'm done. Oh, let me reorientate. Frame scene. I think I'm basically done. That's my high jump world record height that I can view in augmented reality. Now we need to export this so we can share it with teachers and our friends and our family so they can view on iPad or iPhone. So we can view it with AR right now. So you can press on AR and see what it looks like. But we're going to export it. We're going to go to our 3 dots. We're going to go down to export. And it can be a USDZ or a reality file or just save scene. It doesn't really matter as long as you press export. And we're going to save it to files. Now, when it comes up, this is important. You want to name it. So I'm going to say high jump, Commonwealth Games Record, because it is the record. And I'm going to press done at the top right. And then I'm going to press save again. So it's like a 2-part to save. Now that's going to go to my files setup now. So if I go to my files app, I should, theoretically, have that file ready to go. Now, a couple of things. It hasn't come through yet, so it's not in recent yet. Hasn't come through yet. That's not it. That's the editable file. If I go down to the left-hand side and go to on my iPad, it might be there. So it might take a time. Sometimes it pops. There it is there. You can see the little AR icon ready to actually view it. And it'll pop up in recent now because it just takes a little while. And there we go. We are ready to tap on that and view that in augmented reality and see how tall it actually is, which is super important. Let's go back to our file. You can see there it is there. We have done our beautiful augmented reality high jump Commonwealth Games record. Now, when you place it in augmented reality, try and compare it with something else. So maybe get another person in your shot to see how tall it is compared to your classmates, or go against in the playground and see how tall it is, high it is compared to the monkey bars in the playground. Don't pinch it because that will shrink it. And don't pinch it to make it bigger. We want to keep it to scale. So you just want to look at the ground, find that anchor plane on the ground, and see how tall that really is. And if we get time in the future, I'll show you how to get an animated character into your high jump as well. Now, don't forget, go back to your Commonwealth Games Wikipedia and see what else you can create in augmented reality. Paul Hamilton here from Using Technology Better.